Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Well, here we are, cold and flu season. I'm well aware of that. I'm about halfway, well, maybe like 3/4 away of my first cold. First one in a long time. I wish I contacted her in advance. She's amazing with herbal remedies. As a master herbalist, I've gotten stuff from her before for other things that ail. Let's talk about cold and flu season and see what this woman has from Oyate Herbals. Tammie Lowell is back with us. Hey, Tammie, how are you?
I'm doing good, Steve. Glad to be back.
Yeah, I wish I thought of this before because everybody around me is getting sick. A good friend of mine, bad cold last week. I don't know how I didn't get anything from them. I was so close contact, definitely this person was sick, and
right.
But then what happened? I went to a birthday dinner networking event, and I know that's where I got it. And I know a friend of mine, Lou. I corner of my eye, I see him turn his head, and he's blowing his nose, and I'm like, I was just there talking with them, and then there, like 20 people were there. 3 days later, got the cold. So it's out there, it's around. So I guess we should attack this two different ways: prevention and dealing with it, how to feel better during it. Because my friend last week was real bad. Wish I could offer something. Nothing was really getting the job done.
Right.
Where do we
Well,
start?
I mean, I think the reason why you are so good about, and you may have just been exposed and exposed and exposed more than, you talked about two different times of being exposed, but I think the reason why you didn't get it that bad is because you do look at things and you in a different avenue. You do take better care of your body. You do try to do preventative stuff with like vitamins, zinc, D3, watching what you eat, things like that. So you right out the door boost your immune system, or at least keep your immune system balanced, know. Me and you've been working together for a while on a lot of other stuff, and which is also helping that as well. So, there's things that you're already doing that puts that preventative in there. I'm all about preventative. I'm sitting here, what was it, 9 years ago? About maybe 9, going on 10 probably. I'm very immune compromised. I had a hereditary blood disease, and so I was diagnosed with chronic lymphatic leukemia. I was never I was offered, of course, oral chemo, things like this. And I'm like, no, thank you. So I did the CBD route. I changed my diet. I did things. I do these shows, these big holistic fairs. I just got done doing 2 craft shows the last few weekends. So I am constantly touching money. I'm touching people, you can't not be there. There was a little girl that, this poor woman was, this kid is coughing, she's sick, and she's trying to put, I'd say she's probably 7, 8 years old. And she was trying to give her milk. And I'm thinking, oh my God, lady, stop. Milk causes congestion.
I've always heard that.
It does. Well, and especially pasteurized milk, because it's all, all of the, good stuff has been taken out of it. So you don't, you have reactions and everything.
Thank you for solidifying that. And it's so funny. I woke up like 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't have a big dinner. So I know I woke up because my stomach was a little hungry. Open up the fridge. I'm like, I just need a quick something, and going back to bed. And I'm like, well, there's yogurt. I'm like, I'm not going to do that because it's going to add to the congestion. And I've always wondered about that. But thanks.
Yeah. Dairy is definitely something you want to avoid when you have any type of congestion. So.
Wow. Okay.
Excuse me. Mine isn't congestion. Mine is that I've been at these 2 shows for the last few days, and I've talked and I've talked and I've talked. So I lose my voice at that. So excuse me.
Well, if you're taking a hit, I'm taking one too.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like need a little coffee. Keep me going. It's been a good morning. So anyway, absolutely preventative. So, I do sell an amazing immune boost tincture. I actually developed this at the beginning of COVID, because I'm thinking, gosh, how can I help everybody? And it has stuff in it that helps boost the immune system. in so many different ways. So the first ingredient in it is black elderberry. I mean, that carries so many different, it's high in vitamin C's and D3s and things like that. It also has echinacea, that a lot of people are familiar in the herbal and communities with echinacea.
Sure.
It has another herb in it called astragalus. Astragalus, I think, is a little bit more powerful, and some people adapt to astragalus a little better than the echinacea. It's also an adaptogen herb. We had talked about adaptogen herbs earlier, so it helps your body adapt to the herbs and the environment and everything. It also has a herb in it called maca. A lot of bodybuilders use maca root.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's a superfood. So, and that's the thing. I mean, so even if, you've got the person that's struggling with their diet, at least you're getting all the essential minerals that your body is needing to help boost the immune system.
I've heard maca is also can be good for guys in their performance, if you will.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
That and yohambi. Yohambi is another one that falls into those categories.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, maca root can, and that is also for men or women. It also helps rebalance. It can help rebalance women's hormones as well. So it's interesting how different herbs have such a wide array of uses. And that's why I like blends. And I do a lot of blends, because when I blend the maca root with all of the stuff to boost the immune system, put the adaptogen in there, then it's going to work better with those for that purpose. So if I mix the maca root with the yohambi, and like Korean red ginseng, and give it to somebody a man that would be having ED issues, it's going to work better that way. Sure. So that those blends and the way those work together, that's why that it's really important to really get with a good herbalist to understand that. You just don't want to go out and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, because if you put maca root with all these other ones and think, oh my God, it may not be doing the purpose that you want it to do, because you've bought it. Oh, well, I want maca root because I want to help, bodybuild or whatever. But if you're putting it with the other herbs, it's going to draw more towards those than it will what you're really wanting it to do.
Yeah. So I have a question. So we've talked about it, so I'll throw it out there. You gave me a salve and a tincture for prevention of skin cancer. I've had it for years, reoccurring stuff every once in a while. So let's see if we can attack it before more stuff pops up.
Absolutely.
Also stomach issues, ulcer connected, which by the way worked. I've said it before. Unbelievable. I tell everybody, Tammie,
thank you.
Everybody I know, I'm not even kidding. Like 3 days done. Yeah. I didn't feel any. And I thought, I'm quite certain I was heading toward a bleeding ulcer. I really do.
What it sounded like when we talked.
Yeah.
It sounded like you were really not in a good place.
Yeah. And I was diagnosed 2016. Stress brings it back. Yes, I'm going to get scoped and everything again, 5 years, on the 5-year plan with that. And that's next month. My question is, all of this stuff that we're talking about, the different tinctures, can any of us combine all of them? Like, can I take, let's say, preventative, boost the immune system? It's called a flu season. Then the other one I'm taking, then the other one I'm taking. Can they all work together, or could there be some conflicts?
There can be some conflicts depending on what you're doing. So that's why I always say, get with me and let me, and let me help you find that balance, because we might work on, like the anti-cancer properties, like the stomach issues or things like this, boosting the immune system. No, that's not going to make a difference.
Okay.
But, a lot of time, I definitely take a look at somebody who calls me and says, look, I've got high blood pressure. I have diabetes. I have, I'm pre-cancer. I'm all of this. So what I do is I try to make a blend that is, of a couple of different things that aren't going to conflict with each other. And what I try to do is I try and work on something a little bit at a time, because realistically, if I throw, 20 different tinctures at you, how am I going to know what's working anyway?
True. Yeah, you're right.
So I like to start small and go from there. But all of the stuff that I have recommended for you is going to work in conjunction with each other.
Okay.
So yeah, and that was why we went down the roads of that with the Sacred Seven and the other stuff, because it's like, well, we're already dealing with some stomach issues, things like that. But yeah, you've got this other stuff. So I needed to give you something that is going to still work with that digestive system, so I'm not canceling out what I just did. And that's the thing a lot of doctors don't do. They give you a pill for this and then a pill for that and then a pill for this and a pill for that. Or you go to another doctor, well, they send you to you've got primary care, and they've got you on high blood pressure meds, and they've got you on cholesterol and diabetes, but yet all of a sudden you end up with, say, bladder issues or urinary tract stuff. Then they send you to a urologist. Well, the urologist doesn't bother talking. You're supposed to give your list of meds, but that isn't always the same. Then they prescribe you something for that, and it cancels out your cholesterol meds. So it's, I literally had a lady bring me 2 full bags. I kid you not, bags this big. She was on 3 different medications for all of this different stuff. And I thought my head was going to explode.
Oof.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so, backing back up to the cold and flu season, if you rebalance your endocannabinoid system, you rebalance, do the things you need to do to bring homeostasis back to the body, all of the rest is going to start fixing itself. Realistically, I've got that lady, off. We have worked together. We've been working since the beginning of summer. She's off of all of those medications, except for 2. And they're medications that she's got to taper off of. There's nothing we can do about this because of the severity of the side effects, that, and we're working on those, wow. So it's, I've been working with her, but I literally, she walked out of my store with about, I'd say 10 different bottles of stuff, because I had to catch her on everything that each one of these drugs was going to do. Now we're down to 4 tinctures and a lotion. So I even taper. In theory, I don't want everybody on this, but just like me, I was out and about, this little girl. I take the immune boost. I put a little bit of oregano oil in mine because I just want that preventative, antibacterial, antifungal, because I'm in that public eye all the time. I'm touching that money. And I've avoided COVID. I haven't had, Same. I haven't had any, I haven't even gotten sick. I got maybe last year about this time, might have gotten a little upper respiratory thing, but I was exposed to a baby that was very sick with RSV. And I got a little bit of an upper respiratory, little bit of a mild fever, but I held the baby kissed me. It was direct contact, and 2 days later, mom calls and says, oh my God, I got to let you know, she came down with RSV and she's very sick. What can I do? So of course I let her know what she could do. She got baby through it just fine, with just a little bit of things I was helping her with, didn't need the emergency room trip, So, I've even got stuff that's going to help little ones. And this baby was 6-7 months old, So, you got to watch dosages with them and stuff like that, So, there are things that I have to prevent. I've even got a great little elderberry gummy that has vitamin C, D3, zinc, and CBD. So you can kick it all in that if you want a gummy. So, you name it, I've got it. Now, if you're really sick, I do recommend oregano oil. I think oregano oil is one of the strongest antibacterial, antifungals, antivirals there is. Golden seal is amazing for that. So those are if you're really sick, they've even done studies about oregano oil that'll kill live sewage. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
So when we talk about oregano oil, how are we taking that? Is that a tincture? How does that look?
Well, oregano oil comes in very many different forms. And so I'm glad that you asked that question, because you don't want to use an essential oil eternally. And oregano oil can come in an essential oil. That is a topical thing that you would put a couple of drops in a roller bottle and rub it on your pulse points. You can't absorb it that way, but that is going to be more of a mild way of doing it. If you're sick, you've got a virus, you got a cold, you're going to want to use the tincture form, which I do carry one, and I don't make this one. I actually have been working with North American Herbs and Spice for, I don't know, 20 years. Amazing woman. She's been in business for 35 years, and she is phenomenal at what she does. So I sell her organic Mediterranean version oregano oil P73. You can get it on my website. You can go directly to her. I don't care how you get it, as long as you get it. Super strong, super spicy, works amazing. I've seen it kill strep throat.
Wow.
I've seen it do strep throat with my own children. My kids hated me when they got sick and they were like a sore throat. I'm like, oregano oil. They're like, oh, mom, because it sucks. I mean,
I
I
love
can't
oregano. If I love oregano, am I going to like oregano oil?
It's spicy. It's a little rough. It burns when you do it directly under the tongue. But that's why I cheat and put it inside my, I don't sell it that way, but I can custom make it like I've custom made some of your stuff. I have no problem putting a little bit inside of the immune booster and shipping it out to you. It makes it easier to tolerate.
Listen, I met a friend last night for dinner. I had a spicy margarita. I was fine.
Yeah, I mean, people who don't mind spicy stuff, it ain't bad, but you can actually feel it kind of burn as it's running down the throat. You can feel it almost working instantly in that throat. Yeah.
So I want to tell you that the stuff we're talking about here, the echinacea, the maca, I have all that stuff in my cabinet. I bought it like over the past year of researching, reading, and I barely take it because I never know how much. I never know, how potent it is. I do understand that maca can cause digestion issues. If that's what I read. I don't know if that's true.
It can. So people who have, like Crohn's disease, colitis, those type of things, you want to use it sparingly. I mean, everything, especially with herbals, everything in moderation, guys, know?
Yeah. But I haven't done it. And I got it because I heard it's good for your immune system, echinacea, obviously. I forgot I had it. I look up there the other day. I'm like, I wonder what's up here. Echinacea, I bought this. All right, let me take one of those. So I took one yesterday, forgot to take it today. I would much rather use your stuff. It's figured out. It's all put together. I'm one of those people, and I don't think I am solo in this, where just tell me what I got to do, and I'm going to do it every day, rinse and repeat. There you go, autopilot. But I know it's been sanctioned, blessed by an expert in you. When I'm just reaching up there, I like to try this for a fee. I bought magnesium. I heard it was good for you. I haven't taken it yet because I think it also causes stomach issues. And I was like, I'm going to tap the brakes on that.
With what you got going on, I would not do an internal magnesium at all. Right.
There you go.
Magnesium, I wouldn't. But you could do a topical one. So topical does absorb into the muscles, and it can, I mean, especially if you're using it for stress, or especially like cramping. I actually make a anti-cramp lotion that has 1,000 milligrams of magnesium in it. And I have a lot of people that they don't do it for the cramping purposes. They get it because they can't take internal magnesium because it upsets their stomach. So they use it on their pulse points. Anything you put on the inside of your arms and on your, your neck, on the inside of your legs, that it will absorb, as long as the molecules in the product are small enough to absorb. So for example, CBD topically does not, the molecules in CBD does not absorb into the bloodstream. It'll go into a muscle, but the molecules are not small enough to actually get into the bloodstream. So that's a big misconception with a lot of people are like, oh my God, I can't do CBD because I'm gonna test positive, because I have a government job. That is an absolute misconception. Yeah. And I am here to tell you, I know, because I'm a semi-retired 911 dispatcher. Half of my cops in Teller County use my CBD pain salve, which is my bestseller. You know it. You know how well it works. And I mean, they don't. We all have to do a drug test at some point in time, and none of us test positive.
Because
We're
it's
not going to, not even for cannabinoids. Yeah,
it's not taken internally, number one. And
correct.
number two, it's kind of a gray territory in my understanding. Even if you're taking, CBD that has zero point 0.3 THC in it, it may show up, it may not, whatever. You don't want to take a chance, obviously.
Right.
But wow, thank you for bringing up that point. I assumed that the CBD gets into your bloodstream when it's applied topically.
No.
Wow.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeesh.
The molecules are not small enough. That's just kind of like I make a organic chemical-free sunscreen that has a non-nano zinc oxide in it. Well, certain zinc oxides that can get into the bloodstream, of course, can make you sick. Well, if you use the right one, if the molecules are not able to absorb, it's not going to get into the bloodstream. It's going to stay topical. It's going to do what it needs to do when it comes to blocking the sun, bad UV rays. And
Wow.
so it's all about the research. It's really, really understanding what you're working with and what you do. There's a lot of people out there and there's so much hype. I'll be real honest with you. I am here to say I got people that, come to me. Oh yeah, well, they sold me this. My dog's doing this, when it comes to CBD or herbs or whatever. And yeah, my dog is having all these issues. I'm like, well, this is why you are giving your dogs junk. And, it's about the money factor with people, that, oh, this is what this is. They don't care. They just want to make money on it. I don't care about the money.
I don't know what I'm doing. We talked about the magnesium. It's up on my cabinet. I don't know why I bought it. I forgot. I don't know what it's there for. I read it online. That's why you go to the expert. Get rid of all the other stuff that's floating around in your head. You're available on your website. Somebody's got a question. Somebody wonders, can I take this with that? And it's custom blended. Let's say you have a stomach issue, your sensitive stomach or whatever. Well, this tincture that works for everybody else, you're not going to give it to that person. You're going to reformulate it so it is tolerable or whatever.
Yeah, that's why it's so important. Please reach out to me, text me, call me, let me ask a few questions so that way I can make something that's going to be individualized for you and your situation. There is a ton of stuff out there. You can go to natural grocers, Sprouts, whatever. You can go to all these herbal stores. You can do all of this stuff. But if the person that's behind the counter doesn't have the education to be able to refer and individualize something for you, a lot of times you're just not going to get the results. And that's the reason why a lot of people are like, oh, well, herbs don't work. They don't work because you're not doing it correctly. If you do it correctly and you actually use it and look at it as a traditional medicine, as the way it was intended, the way these plants and that the medical industry, excuse me, has researched and they found and then turned it into something else. Why do you think they came to all the indigenous cultures? Because they knew we had something. They knew we understood these things. And they took it and synthesized it and everything else. And I'm not saying that the medical world is not a necessity. And I'm trying so very hard to bridge that gap between, traditional medicine and allopathic medicine, because they can work together if you have two people that are educated and they're willing to work together, or you're willing to be that in between gap and do what is recommended in a good way. So
all I'm going to say here, we're out of time, but I want to say this. I was considering driving to the hospital with that ulcer. I was getting to the point where it was like, it's getting worse. And of course there was stress and just keep, everything fuels it until I took what you had. And 3 days later, it was gone. Yeah, maybe 4 days later, felt a little like, boop, flared up a little bit. Maybe it was something I ate. got back on all the stuff you recommended. You have my credit card number, the immune booster. Just text me, tell me what that costs, and just send me that. I don't want to do another cold. I'm done.
Yeah, no. And I'll throw a little bit of oregano oil in for you because you're probably out in the public quite often, so,
that's how I got it. I know it. Yeah. I know for a fact it was at that event last Wednesday, and by Saturday it was starting. And I in my understanding, 3 days is usually the incubation period, where it was like, it wasn't the person that I described that was really sick. I saw them at the beginning of what they had, and they were really sick for the entire week. I didn't get anything from them. It was this event, and it was, shaking hands and, talking to people. And it's that season. Everybody I know is, has something going on. A lot of people do.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So all they need to do is reach out. They just need to reach out to me, Steve. That's it. I mean, I'm more than willing to help. I've got what they need. It doesn't matter what the situation is, cold, flu, diabetes, cancer, whatever. I have something that will probably be able to assist you. Even if you want to go, the medical route, I can give something that'll enhance what's going on. Let's keep you as healthy as possible.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Oyateherbals.com is the website?
Yes. Okay. Yep, absolutely.
Oyate herbals.com. Tammie, always great talking with you. You're amazing. I tell everybody. Exactly what I'm saying here. Everybody, thank you. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Steve.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.